All right, everybody ready?
You can take a shower.
Yes.
I was thinking about a question that I wanted to start out by asking today. You know, you stop and think about the thousands of years that innate wisdom of the body has been evolving, getting smarter because it went to the school of hard knocks. Through the process of trial and error, it's figured out how to heal itself of basically everything. All the diseases, all the damages. Can you imagine all the different ways the body has been damaged through the last, how many, 1,000 years? And everybody sitting here, you're living proof that your body has outsmarted all of this, right? Now, with such smart bodies, why can't they overcome all these little problems that we develop?
Good question.
Go on, throw some answers out.
Self-destruction.
Self-destruction?
We don't let it repair.
Emotional blocks.
Okay, so it can all come under the category of human self-destruct, but many ways. We don't give it the opportunity to repair. We have the emotional issues, but haven't we always had emotional issues? You know, it's kind of emotional when a saber-toothed tiger eats your partner or somebody, right? Family member, rips your leg off. We've always had emotional traumas. Why is it that the body isn't able to heal itself? It's brilliant. It's a self, we all talk about this, that it's a self-healing mechanism, right? Why isn't it doing its job?
Break it quicker and we'll let it fix itself.
We can obviously break it faster than it can fix itself. It's definitely
Electrical shortages?
Hmm?
Electrical shortages?
There's plenty of electricity around us.
No, but in terminal, like,
Energetic.
yeah.
Strong belief
Why is
that
it-
it is healed, that it can be healed.
Hold on to that one thought, that's good. What's that?
Strong belief that it can be healed.
Strong belief that it can be healed. I think even if we developed the belief that it could do it, I'm sure that would help a lot. But we definitely need more energy. Yes?
Is it just because there's more things coming at us, you know, the pollution, you know, electro, whatever, everything coming at us more so now than before?
Actually, all of you are correct. All of these reasons. As we realize, if the body could repair itself, it would. But there's a handful of reasons why it isn't able to. And this is what I've put together as the body chemistry support system over the last 20 years, is those specific areas where the body can't repair itself for specific reasons. One, of course, is because of the oxidized arterial plaque that loads up in the gallbladder. If we don't dump that out, actually, let's go to the origin of how that developed. Now, basically, every one of us, by the time we're 20 years of age, our gallbladders are full of those waxy balls of arterial plaque. What is the origin of their development in the gallbladder? Why do they develop now and they didn't in the past?
When you say in the past, are you speaking generations
Cooked
past?
foods.
Are you speaking in the
Yes,
generation
years
past?
before when we weren't accumulating the oxidized arterial plaque.
More of a sedentary life.
No, it's actually down to one mineral, a deficiency of one mineral, organic sodium. Okay? Because we are not consuming sufficient quantities of organic sodium. And two, that's also why we want to eat a good healthy salt, which there for a couple of decades we were told, oh, salt is horrible for you, it'll kill you. But we have to have a certain amount of healthy salt to maintain the electrolyte balance in our bloodstream. But it's organic sodium that is the body's number one choice for alkalizing toxicity or acidity. It's also the mineral that keeps those little particles of oxidized arterial plaque that the liver dumps into the gallbladder it keeps them in small little particles and keeps them from getting sticky. And because of that deficiency, when we become a little bit too acidic, those little particles become sticky, and that's what forms not only the larger masses in your blood. If you were to take a look at your blood, you'd see that if a person has a backed up liver, they'll find larger masses in the blood made up of dozens and dozens of the little tiny particles. They're already sticking together in the blood. That's what readheres to the arterial wall and causes all the bigger problems of the blockages. But once they get into the gallbladder and they stick together, they'll form those little green balls that you see in the toilet after you do a gallbladder flush. Those were formed basically from the deficiency of organic sodium. Okay, so there's one issue. Now that the gallbladder is clogging up, and as soon as it clogs up at about 20 years of age, from that time on, every decade, you get back pressure of the same substance building up in the liver, and it's what doctors refer to as a fatty liver, which is the enlargement of the liver by the same substance. That makes sense? Okay, there's one huge area why the body isn't able to normalize itself. Another one is the skin is the largest organ of elimination. And if it isn't allowed to release, it should be releasing almost as much waste as the bowel, if you can imagine. That's a lot of waste material, right? It's the largest organ of elimination. How do you get it to working? We used to go outside and work hard out in the sun and perspire, and the skin, as an organ of elimination, would perspire acid waste and other materials out through the skin. Now, if we catch our skin working as an organ of elimination, what do?
Put deodorant on.
Put deodorant on, turn the air conditioner on. We shut it down as fast as we can. Now, another problem is the colon should be evacuating all that food residue continually. You know, you eat 4 meals a day, small snacks or whatever. That's how many bowel movements you should have a day. You look at animals, they're eating throughout the day, grazers just like we normally are, and they're pooping all day long. We don't, because we start sitting too much. And when you sit too much, it starts affecting the ability of the colon to release the waste material quickly enough. Start becoming constipated. Okay? There's another huge reason why the body, it's our lifestyle habit. So the body can't normalize, it can't reverse that, because it needs our help to consciously do some of the steps that we'll be talking about, because each thing that I bring up, I'm going to review what we need to do to reverse that lifestyle habit. Now you add everything together of why we develop degenerative disease right now, and it'll be our lifestyle habits, which are self-destructive. From the body's point of view, it's very self-destructive. Now another one is our ability to digest food. Now, we would think, well, my gosh, you know, nothing has changed there. There shouldn't be a difference between how we digest now and how we digested before. We've been eating cooked food for hundreds of years. Well, the difference is this. Today, we are driven more to push ourselves beyond our body's physical limits. In other words, we're constantly exchanging our life force for accomplishment. Now, what does that have to do with digestion? Well, that's what the pancreas uses to create digestive enzymes, is our life force. And if we don't have enough available, which we find out by the time we're about 40 years of age, all of a sudden we start getting this feeling like the fire's going out inside the body here. There's not quite as much juice as there used to be. Well, we don't stop and think about it, but there's a parallel process going on at the same time. Our digestion starts taking a nosedive. What's the parallel between the two? Because the pancreas requires the life force of our bodies to convert that life force into digestive enzymes. So there's another huge reason why the body is incapable or less capable of normalizing the functions. If it can't digest the food, you take like protein, for instance. Properly digested protein is one of the best medicines you can get. If you take a look at all those amino acids and what each one of them does in the body, that's just like medicine. But yet undigested protein, when they talk about kidney problems, blood in the urine, things like that, what is it? They always say, oh, it's protein. Protein is causing the problem. Undigested protein is very harsh on the body. It's a very toxic substance, and to it will actually make your blood sticky. And so it's very important that we digest not only our proteins, but all the other components of the foods that we're eating. And if the body's not able to digest the food, it's not getting the nutrients from the waste. Look how much effort, how much energy it takes for the body to process the foods that we eat, extract the nutrients, and process and eliminate the waste. That's a lot of energy. And if we don't have it, if the battery's already 90% dead, that function puts us in a deficit of energy. Okay? But you think of these lifestyle habits that we're coming into, or that we're developing now, and that is why you put them all together. That's the reason why the body isn't able to reverse these patterns. Now, we've been brainwashed to believe that when the body has a problem, what we need to do is find the cure, find the supplement, or, we're always told that when we have a problem, we need to figure out what to take for it. Well, we've never been told that 90% of the time we'd be better off if we figured out how to get rid of the excess from the body as the solution. Not take something more to correct it, but it's going to be some form of a need for detoxification to let the body get the energy up. That's the main reason why the body never has quite enough energy, is because it's swimming in sewage. Because the pathways of elimination are so blocked that 95% of the time when we have a problem, you can trace it back to the sewage system being backed up, and we're basically being poisoned. And if we could reduce that poison, our energy would automatically go up. Okay? Now, to really simplify it, a lot of you I've shared this with before, but there's 7 items that disease is made out of. And if you could get rid of all 7 completely from the body, you couldn't develop disease. And that's the chemicals, the metals, dead tissue cells, unusable food residue, mucus, acid waste, and radiation. Okay? Now, that is actually the substance that disease is made of, and we have certain areas of the body that get clogged and backed up, but basically what we're talking about is, again, getting the sewage system working, which is shorting out our energy production system. Now you look at the cellular level, and over 100 years ago, Dr. Alexis Carrel pointed out the fact that death and disease is not in the cell. It's actually in the fluids surrounding the cell, the environment that the cell lives in. Okay, what is that environment? That's the lymphatic system. Okay, every cell in our body is surrounded by lymph, because the lymph is the fluid that washes the acid waste away from the tissue cells. Okay? So what we're going to talk about here now is the reason why some 75 trillion cells are being impaired in their production of energy. Now there's 2 ways that a cell produces energy. One, if those fluids surrounding the cell are maintaining the proper balance and movement. Of course, it's got to move because every cell draws in a nutrient, performs a function, and exhausts acid waste. There's about 3 times more lymph in the body than there is blood, and the lymph is constantly moving that acid waste away from the cell. And if it doesn't, the cell will be poisoned to death. Now, when the filtering system and everything else isn't working right, when the sewage system gets shut down, which is happening in about 99% of every case, there's a back pressure that's holding the lymph around the cell. Now, of course, what we're talking about is what women call cellulite, which is stagnated lymphatic fluid. And if you can press your thumbs on each side of the outsides of your breasts and you have pain there, you know that you have back pressure in the lymphatic system. Okay? Another way to test is right here under the collarbones. There will be a little bit of tension and pain there. And the reason for that is because your own brain is tightening the muscles to hold the lymph, because it sees that your chemistry doesn't have enough of the organic sodium to neutralize the acidity. Because remember, what is that lymph full of? All the acid waste of the trillions of cells of the body. And if the body doesn't have enough alkalinity, organic sodium, to neutralize it, the brain isn't going to let it dump into the bloodstream. It's going to stagnate it around the tissue and cause that back pressure that destroys the tissue cells. Now, besides every individual cell being an electrical generator by drawing sodium in and pushing sodium back out, that sodium moving in and out of the cell is like a little electric generator that produces energy for the body. Multiply that by 75 trillion cells and you have a fairly good amount of electricity, right? Plenty of energy. Another way is within every cell is also little mitochondria that are producing ATP, which is like the currency of the whole cellular system of your body. And especially for the brain. The brain has to have ATP to fuel itself. Okay? So those are the two ways that the body produces energy. And you can see now, if we let the lymphatic system stagnate and get that back pressure, it will first of all start poisoning the little mitochondria to death. And then eventually it will poison the cell to death. This is what they call the aging process. Everything we talk about tonight that has to do with the development of degenerative disease, it's a parallel to the aging process. Both are completely unnecessary, and both we are unconsciously creating both. Okay? So you learn the principles of how to reverse one, you learn the principles of how to reverse the other one. And so that's what we're going to do, is look at the body from the innate wisdom's point of view. Now, what is the main agenda for the innate wisdom of the body? To normalize chemistry function, to heal what needs to be healed, and to reverse every problem that is busy developing. It's working 24 hours a day to accomplish that. Now, if it's not able to, it's because it needs that little extra help. Either gallbladder flushes, or detox baths, or enhancement of digestion. It doesn't need to be insulted with treatment. Yes, when we go too far, we ignore the innate wisdom guiding us and crying out for our help for so many years, we get into trouble and we need treatment. But what we need to do is become a little bit more conscientious of the fact that we're being guided by innate wisdom, the wisdom that has been developed over thousands of years. We're being guided 24 hours a day of exactly what to do and how to do it. And if we'll just stop and listen, we'll be guided in how to take care of the body so that it can't break down. Now, to simplify that, what I've been doing for 20 years is listening to other people's intuition that has come to me for health screens. And I've seen the same patterns over and over and over again. Every single body intuitively crying out for the same help. And it isn't a lot of steps. In fact, I've worked it out to being 16 simple little steps. Okay? Let's go ahead and go through those now. Okay, what I've done is I've organized these not according to priority, but according to what a day would look like totally supporting your body in the way that it would appreciate being supported. First thing in the morning, the first thing that your body would love for every one of us to do is to drink about 12 ounces of water. Get water flushing down through the intestinal tract to hydrate and to start flushing the intestinal tract.
Can I hand them out so they can hold them?
Sure. Would you guys like this list?
I know you.
Testing our memory. Shoot, you messed up my test. I was going to have an oral test after. See how many of them everybody remembered. Okay, number 2. The body would love for you to not start out with the big meal that we've been brainwashed all of our lives that the body needs. Breakfast, most important meal of the day, right? Well, the only problem with that is early in the morning, when most people are busy eating this big meal, it's still during the body's natural cleansing cycle. Okay, so nobody asked the innate wisdom of the body. They just figured it out that, hey, we got to sustain ourselves through the whole day, and everybody knows that food is what sustains you, so got to have a big hearty breakfast in the morning. Well, something that your body would prefer for you to do is help it start scrubbing and cleaning up the mess from yesterday. Okay, that's what it was working on during the night. You know that if your body didn't have to neutralize and eliminate all the fatigue acids that we create by our lifestyle habits, we wouldn't need to sleep. To the degree that we're toxic, we need to sleep to provide the body time to clear the bloodstream and neutralize the acids, the fatigue acids. If you find that you need more and more sleep, you gotta get working better on your sewage system. Okay?
That's why I sleep 10 hours a night.
Wow. Now take a good example, a person with chronic fatigue syndrome. You take a look at that person's blood and it looks like sewer water for a good reason. What happens with chronic fatigue is because of the use of antibiotics and because of stagnation in the intestinal tract, the fluids from the colon, which are very toxic because they don't have friendly bacteria to neutralize the toxic waste, and they're not evacuating the acid waste fast enough, all that gets moved into the bloodstream and bathes the brain 24 hours a day. And pretty soon, the individual driving themselves through that feeling of fatigue with either caffeine, sugar, or willpower, pretty soon they go into adrenal exhaustion. Then, as many of them as I have worked with in the past, they end up about 23 hours a day lying in bed, not capable of getting up and living a normal life, but not really able to go into a deep sleep either. Because you have to have energy to be able to relax and sleep. When you get so depleted of energy, your whole nervous system is wired to where you're totally exhausted, but you're so exhausted you can't even relax and sleep. What a nightmare, right? Most adults over 40 years of age have a mild version of the same thing. They just haven't completely burned their adrenal glands out. And that's what we call life. You know, we run on stress and adrenaline and wonder why we don't have the true vitality to live life. Yes, sir.
And then on the flip side, with something like insomnia, what would...
Insomnia is a dead battery. It's the same thing. People with chronic fatigue syndrome have serious insomnia because their battery is dead and their nervous system is wired. Now, a lot of people feel like, well, I have such a problem with sleep, I have to stay up till beyond midnight either reading a book or watching television till they get tired enough to finally fall asleep. They don't fall asleep, they pass out. After sleeping for 2 or 3 hours, then they wake up again because they feel their nervous system wired again. That is not a good practice to exhaust yourself into passing out at night. You need to work on opening up the sewage system, supporting your body to increase your vitality, so that you can get high enough energy to be able to go ahead and relax and sleep. True energy is the opposite of nervous energy. You watch a hyperactive kid, that isn't energy. They're climbing up the walls and going crazy with all this so-called energy. That isn't energy. That's sugar. That's adrenaline and nervous energy. I had a funny experience about a dozen years ago. I watched two hyperactive kids go into our energy room like this one at another office. That other room that we had was very powerful though. And those kids were in there and they were like flies buzzing around the room for about 5 minutes. And after being in that energy for about 5 minutes, they both just went over by their mother and just sat down there just looking around like, whoa, this is really cool. Their energy finally got up to the point where they could relax a little bit. But before that, they felt ADD all over the place. In fact, that's what ADD really is the inability to handle glucose. It's mostly a chromium deficiency. It's same thing, dead battery and being hyped up on sugar that they can't utilize because of a chromium deficiency. Okay, let's get back to following our list here. Okay, the second thing the body would love for us to do is help it scrub out the intestinal tract. Flush the old stuff out that is still hanging around from yesterday. And so you take a supplemental fiber, and what we used to use a mild herbal laxative to stimulate the movement of the fiber through the intestinal tract, but I found that the ozonated magnesium works a whole lot better because you get 3 benefits out of it. You get not only the stimulation of movement, but you get an oxygenation and purification of the intestinal tract, and you get a relaxation of spasms in the intestinal tract. Because really what we need to do is, basically every adult has distortions and problems in the colon, and we need to remove those and normalize the function. And so part of that normalization is getting rid of the strictures that contract and retain waste in the intestinal tract. So the ozonated magnesium helps that. And then of course, there's a lot of talk about the importance of probiotics, but not enough of us hear the dirty story about why it's so important. Okay? The colon is actually a trash compactor that is working through a process of dehydration. It's drawing the fluids from the waste matter, preparing it for elimination. But what I want you to stop and think about is, what would the water be like that is being drawn out of the fecal matter? Now think of taking that water. If I drew that into a syringe, would you allow me to give you an injection with that water? No, it's pretty nasty stuff, right? That is the importance of probiotics, because probiotics neutralize the toxicity of that water and make it usable again. Generally, that water is not very usable, and that is the key to auto-intoxication, self-poisoning. And that's happening 24 hours a day with the average person that has been exposed to antibiotics, chlorinated water, and all the other things that in our modern life we're exposed to. And so if a person doesn't target the correction of that problem and honestly get it turned around, and the way that I've found that is the only way that you can really turn it around is become aware of the connection between your low back and the function of your colon. Because when the lower back, which is so common, is tight, it reduces the nerve flow to a particular area of the colon and closes it down, creating an incubator of unfriendly bacteria. Now, it doesn't matter how powerful your probiotic is, you send that probiotic into the colon, where there's approximately 3 or 4 pounds of unfriendly bacteria, and all you get back is a gas bubble. It doesn't do a bit of good. The only way that you can properly and completely rebalance the intestinal flora is through the principle of displacement, working on opening up the lower back and getting complete evacuation and then replace the volume in the colon with a mass of fiber impregnated with probiotics. Displacement will do it. Displacement will rebalance the intestinal flora. And this is what we've been, all these little details is what we've been working out, trial and error for the last 15, 20 years. So that's the second priority of your day, is taking the supplemental fiber, stimulating the movement with an ozonated magnesium, and the fiber being impregnated with the Nutridophilus, the probiotic. Number 3, well actually 2 and 3 should be swapped.
Dr. Hall, one question.
Yes,
So
sir.
in the past, every time I've considered the magnesium and the probiotic and such, it's with a meal. So I should potentially not attach the two.
Keep your cleansers away from your feeding. 2 processes. The Valtonin, the ozonated magnesium, is a cleanser. You do that, keep it at least 15 minutes away from your food. Otherwise, if you if you wanted to lose weight, you could have a meal and do this afterward and just move it right on through and out. But generally, if you want to get your groceries, get your vitamins, minerals, and nutrients out of your food, keep them apart so that you can utilize your nutrients. Take the Valtone first, then the food. Okay?
You might be thinking digestive enzyme
Okay.
instead of friendly bacteria.
Okay, then, as far as exercise is concerned, there's 3 very simple exercises that prioritize your structure. Because from the brain all the way down the spinal cord, it's influencing and determining the quality of health of every gland and organ in your body. And if you've got spasms in the muscles of your neck or your back, it's going to be affecting an area of your chemistry with the glands and organs. And if you have gland or organ problems, you're guaranteed that it's going to create a chronic problem in the spinal structure. Okay? And it will show up as a spasm in the muscle. So either way, you want to keep it. You could use your spine and your neck as barometers to tell you how your chemistry is doing. If you've got any stiffness or pain in your structure, guaranteed you've got problems internally, and vice versa. Because of a 2-way communication, continually communicating back and forth. It's what I refer to as the contractive dance of death. Because whether it starts internally or with the spine, it starts cutting off nerve flow going back inside or causing spasms on the outside if it's an organ to begin. But it keeps going until something shuts down. So use it as a barometer and let it get your attention and realize, okay, I got a red flag here, what do I do about it? Well, you start figuring out how to open up the nerve flow from the spine to the particular organ, and then with the other steps that we're giving here, it'll help you to clear the glands or organs out, okay? Okay, there's looking at the body. Most people have been trained to look at the body kind of like a tree, and we're looking at thousands of leaves that are turning colors, and we're trying to figure out how to get them to turn green again. And it's a lot of work. There's a lot of treatment involved, right? Thousands of problems and thousands of possible treatments. But if you stop and think of the logic of the tree, you realize, oh, all I got to do is put the minerals and the water in the soil, and the tree will take care of itself. We have an innate wisdom with the same brilliance. It knows exactly what to do and how to do it, and there's nothing in the whole universe that it would rather do than what it's trying to do. All we've got to do is not insult it by coming along to fix it after we broke it. What we need to do is acknowledge the fact that if we just do our part and help it, give it that support, it'll do near miracles. It'll pull off miracles. Okay? But we've got to just understand what we need to do and why. We don't have to fix everything. That's the beauty of living in a world of, well, not living in a world of cause and effect, but understanding the principle of cause and effect that dictates all circumstances in our lives. Okay? It simplifies everything. All we have to do is understand cause and correct cause. To heck with all the effects, all the symptoms. Of course, we love relief from symptoms, but if we can just come to a deeper understanding of all levels of cause for why the body breaks down and we correct those, then we don't have to fix everything. It's easier. Okay? The third one, okay, let's go through the 3 most important types of exercise. First of all, it's your neck. Okay? No matter what's going on with your neck, in time, we start losing the range of motion, right? Pretty soon, when people get really old, they stop getting all range of motion. They start looking to the left and the right like that, right? Okay, there's no reason for that. That isn't aging, that's stagnation. Okay, so what we do is reverse whatever stagnation we've developed and maintain that so that we never create the stagnation again. Okay, so the starting point is just simply stretch your neck. You look to the left, then you put your eyes behind you, and you look as far as you can and really stretch, because it's like wringing out a rag. You want to hold it just as far as you can turn it, slowly count to 10, and then relax to the front, turn the other direction, put your eyes behind you, and force it as far as you can the other direction, slowly count to 10. Now, because your brain is thinking about counting to 10 when you look each direction, use your fingers to keep track of the repetitions. So you turn to the left, the right, left, right, left. When you're finished doing 5 repetitions to the left and 5 to the right, you're finished. It only takes 2 or 3 minutes. The second one, which actually you can do before you even get out of bed if you want to, it's the easiest and most comfortable. You just kneel down, spread your knees about a foot apart, sit on your heels, and lie as close to the bed as you can, pushing your chest toward the bed and your bottom toward your heels. And just relax into that for a full 3 minutes. That's the secret to it, is the full 3 minutes. In yoga, you do it maybe for about 20 seconds, but by doing this night and morning and holding that for a full 20 seconds, or 3 minutes, makes a huge difference. That'll help you to open up the lower back.
So your body is stretched forward,
Yes,
flush
it's the
against
extended
floor?
child pose.
Okay.
Yeah, just as low as you can to the bed.
Okay.
It's more effective, obviously, if you do it on the floor. But if you develop a habit of just, as you think about it before you go to sleep, and you're still in bed, you think, you don't have to get out of bed again, just flip over and go for it. Okay? And then that will take care of the neck and the lower back. Then for the upper back, you want to get some sort of a 6-inch foam roller. Okay? You just lay that on the floor, turn around, lean back against it, lace your fingers. Lace your fingers together like this, put them behind your head, and just lie back, raise your bottom up with your legs, and just roll back and forth. And that will roll over the muscles that are a little bit tight for your liver and kidneys, and then you can keep practicing until you can come all the way down to the lumbar. But just like a rolling pin going up and down your spine, you just roll back and forth on that 6-inch foam roller for 3 minutes, twice a day, and it'll open up that whole spine. Now all of a sudden, you've done 3 very simple procedures that decongested the muscles of your entire spine, and is starting to reopen nerve flow that has been inhibited from flowing. What will that do for your glands and organs? Obviously strengthen them, right? Okay? Now, to get a good, we're going to be talking about gallbladder flushes as well. You can see now, by rolling over that roller and opening up the nerve flow from the spine to the gallbladder, how that will actually strengthen the gallbladder so that you can get more successful gallbladders and gallbladder flushes. See that?
Where do you get those rollers?
You can get them most anywhere. The easiest thing is just Google 6-inch foam roller. All right. The most effective and most complete exercise on the planet is jumping for 15 minutes on a mini trampoline. And the reason why that's so effective is because it exercises every cell in your body. And if you get your gallbladder cleared out and your liver functioning properly and the nerve flow opened up from the upper back, your brain will allow the lymph to flow. Remember, the tightness in the upper chest here that stagnates your lymph, that is accomplished by your brain when it sees that your liver can't handle the workload and you don't have enough organic sodium to neutralize the acidity. Because remember how acidic the lymphatic fluids are. If your bloodstream has to remain real close tolerance to 7.4 on the pH scale. And with all that acid waste, that's what lymph is. It's all the acids from all your cells. If your body can't neutralize that much acid, your brain is going to tighten your muscles real tight here and not let it into the bloodstream until you come up with enough alkalinity or evacuate enough acids. Now, one thing that you can keep in mind, just by deep breathing, conscious deep breathing from time to time, getting more carbon dioxide out of the body will allow more alkalinity in the bloodstream so that it can receive more of the lymph fluids. And so anything you can do, evacuating more acid waste from the intestinal tract, there you've bought yourself more alkalinity, because it would be a whole lot better to evacuate the acids by getting the intestinal tract moving, clearing the blood and the lymph through the skin, and breathing deeper. In other words, exercising more. Now all of a sudden you've created a vacuum where you can your bloodstream can handle more acidic fluids, right? And we haven't even talked about alkalizing yet. Those are three of the most important ways of alkalizing. And another thing is, we're told that the kidneys are organs of elimination. That's an insult to the kidneys. The kidneys are your most powerful chemistry regulators. They're the ones that pull out the acidic minerals and eliminate them from the body so that your body can become pH balanced. So what we really need to do is understand a little bit more of the natural functions of the body and what we can do to support it to improve those functions. And then we don't have to work so hard with one magic treatment or drown ourselves in green juices to try and alkalize our acidic bodies. If we support the body in releasing all the acids, it's not that big of a deal to maintain a proper pH throughout the entire body. Okay? Oh, another thing with the trampoline, the reason why that is the most powerful exercise in the world is, one, it exercises every cell in the body, because the G-force, without shock, like you think, well, why not jogging? Well, my first exposure to the power of trampoline, I was already aware for years of how important it was, but when I was directing the clinic in Mexico, there was a guy that came down with a trampoline, and he used me for the guinea pig, and he had me, first of all, run in place for 1 minute on the hard floor, and then he had me sit down on the floor, and he held my ankles with one hand and pushed on my chest with the other, and I felt a weakness all through the middle of my body, and he pushed me down without a whole lot of effort. And then he had me jog for 1 minute on the trampoline, sit down and do the same thing. This time, the first time, his body was back here and he pushed me down without any trouble. This time I could feel at least 2 or 3 times more pressure on my chest, and he got between his arms like this and pushed as hard as he could, and I felt an unbelievable strength that wasn't there a minute before. And that's when I realized, wow, polarizing the body, it actually generates energy in the body. Instead of when you jog on a hard surface, it discharges our cells. So when we're talking about energy, as important as that is, you don't want to lose it, you want to generate more. And the trampoline does that. It generates more energy. And there's nothing in the world that works better for stimulating the movement of the lymph. If you give it somewhere to go by clearing the gallbladder out and getting the liver function better and the nerve flow opened up to the gallbladder and liver, you move that lymph like nothing else. Now, every type of movement and deep breathing moves the lymph anyway because there's no pump. But it's just that the trampoline does it better than any other activities. Okay, we put together actually over the last 6 or 8 months, we've gone through about a half a dozen different designs of what we call the Essential Light. The history of that drink actually goes back about 20 years with a drink. Anybody here remember Cell Light? Yeah. Okay. That was the origin way back 20 years ago. Anyway, in the last 6 or 8 months, we've shifted a half a dozen times. Now we've come to the point where a dentist helped us to balance it energetically, because what we found is that you can have a power of nutrients, but sometimes if you balance the ingredients in a product in a certain way energetically, looking for a synergy, you hit an exact synergy, and all of a sudden the energetic value far supersedes the nutrient value of taking more. And so now we found that all we need is a smaller amount of a more simplified version of it, and we get a much greater level of energy out of it. And so that's what we're starting to fine tune now, is finding the energetic synergy instead of the gross volumes of nutrients that the body seems to require. Because when you stop and think about how little actual nutrient the average human consumes, large volumes of food, but about probably 50% of the energy that is gained from that meal is wasted in the processing. And then you think about how little actual nutrient is available, actual vitamins and minerals and the things that the body can actually use in the average meal that the average person consumes. I'm not talking about you in this class or those listening to this, but the average person, how much nutrient actually ends up in the bloodstream is very little. But yet the body continues to operate fine. Okay, so we don't really need that much. And then as we learn more about the value of vitamins and minerals and everything, we have this tendency of overdoing and thinking more is better. And the average health nut now is probably consuming at least double or triple what the body really needs. And everything that is more than the liver can process is waste. And so that's what we're realizing is, wow, synergy is so much more valuable than the volumes of concentrated nutrition. And so with the Essential Light, all you need is a small amount of that now. Have a couple of drinks of that through the day. And see, about 40 years ago, the main supplements were things like blackstrap molasses, brewer's yeast, kelp, alfalfa tablets, things like that. Whole food concentrates, not synthesized isolates or any other sort of isolated vitamin or mineral. But it was combinations of really healthy foods. And so the Essential Light has a complete vitamin and mineral component to it, made up of molasses, the brewer's yeast, kelp, and all these whole foods. Small quantities, but covering many bases. Plus, through studying hair analysis years ago, I never found any not one person had enough selenium or enough zinc. And those are vital minerals needed for the production of hormones and to get all 8 cylinders firing in the body. But anyway, all the groceries are in that one drink, so to have one of those a couple times a day, very, very helpful.
Dr. Hall,
Mhm.
does the essential light contain organic sodium, or is that something you need to add on top of?
In several ways it does. If you feel that you're very acidic, now see, rather than, again, trying to, like a lot of people try and clear up a dozen different problems with vitamin C or some so-called magic bullet, rather than trying to overcome this huge deficiency, what I'm trying to focus everybody on doing is clearing out the reason why you need more of the organic sodium. And then through salads that you eat, the essential light, and just the healthier foods, you're going to start increasing your quantities. But I want to try and keep it as simple as possible, where all these leaves of the tree, we don't have to fix them all. But we prioritize on getting rid of the volumes of acid waste, then all of a sudden we don't even need as much. And then through the essential light and a decent diet, you're overcoming that deficiency also.
I see.
Okay?
Thank you.
I'm trying to not fix anything, but support your body to where it can fix everything.
Yep.
Okay, then with the essential light, Baltone, and the things that you'd be doing through the day, we should be normally drinking a good 2 quarts of water a day. But with all these high water content drinks that you're having, I figure about 1 good quart a day with the minerals added to the water, you should be doing fantastic. Then, of course, a light, early, healthy dinner, preferably in the afternoon, would be great if your bigger meal could be in the afternoon. What is the one most common anti-aging fact that pretty well every scientist all agrees to? The one anti-aging fact.
Less food.
Less food, lower caloric intake. And keeping in mind that we have been led to believe that we need more and want more, all of us need to start concentrating on consuming less and less and less, and realizing that if we can keep the caloric intake way down, we're going to have more energy, and the body is going to be able to function a whole lot better. And especially if we're consuming concentrated nutrients, and two, as we've shifted away from the lie of high carbohydrates into higher fats, keep in mind that the caloric intake of fats is a lot greater than carbohydrates even. And so now all of a sudden the body is being satisfied with less fuel. And so by increasing the intake of fruits and vegetables, and then greatly increasing the volumes of fats over carbohydrates, but still holding the intake as low as we can comfortably hold it. When in doubt, do without. Great motto. Okay? Then again, reproduce or redo the Baltone, Posnate Magnesium, Nutridophilus. Then the exercises again, trampoline, Baltone again. Wow, this is really, I didn't remember that I tripled that. Okay. Number 12, is, it's a little bit more ideal than you might need to do, but it's a great idea. I put that in there because that's what I realized would do you a whole lot more good. Anyway, bed by 10:30, and then at least 2 detox baths every week. Again, as I was talking about in the beginning, of how if the skin, which is the largest organ of elimination, gets caught working, we turn on the air conditioning more. Here's the replacement for our lack of perspiring. It's a forced perspiration twice a week where you unload unbelievable volumes of chemicals, metals, and acid waste. You clear both the blood and the skin, right, or blood and the lymph right through the skin. Okay? So we make up for, that is another level of body chemistry support where the body will just be so happy. It's oftentimes I refer to that as the only part of the program that is addictive, because your body, once it starts feeling how much better it feels by doing those detox baths consistently. Sometime when you're feeling exhausted or a little bit toxic, you just feel your body dragging you out of bed and to go and do a detox bath, because your body loves them. Because it's kind of like putting something in the dumpster, you know. Once you throw it there, you turn, walk away, you never see it again. That's the way the body is, and especially the liver celebrates the fact that once you do that detox bath, the liver knows that it isn't going to see it again, but once that same poison is dumped from the liver to the gallbladder and into the intestinal tract, there's still a fairly high percentage of chance that it's going to get recycled and the poor liver has to filter it again. So the detox baths kicks it out the windows, out the doors, and it's gone. Okay? Gallbladder flush every week, once a week for every year of your life. Now that sounds pretty extreme, like especially if somebody's 70 or 80 years of age, they think, what are they going to do? Dissolve me now? And make me flexible by soaking me in that much water? Every decade that we're on this planet, age isn't the problem, it's accumulation. The years, every 10 years that we're on the planet, we accumulate more, unfortunately. And so the gallbladder and the liver become so loaded up. How many realize that that's what these little fatty tumors are that develop on people's bodies? They're nothing more than little trash cans that the body has brilliantly formed because the liver couldn't handle anymore, the gallbladder was already full, the bloodstream saturated with the same material, and so the body just brilliantly forms little trash cans and starts storing the same waxy fat in these little trash cans. And so the average person, even if you don't have lipomas, the average person has volumes of this same waxy material among the tissue cells, in the bloodstream, backed up in the liver. And so one good gallbladder flush is a joke when you compare how much you release to how much is left to be released. Yes, ma'am?
Do pets, especially on like a standard pet diet, do they get gallstones? Could they get gallstones?
I'm sure that they could. I know they would have to
I
get
wonder if anybody's ever
cholesterol.
given their dog.
The gallbladder flush.
They have lymphatic cancer animals. Because the,
They get the olive oil.
Take a look at all animals that eat human food or
Right.
even partially eat human food. They develop human diseases. Arthritis, cancer, the whole works, yeah. Yes, sir.
And what would be the minimum age you could do something similar like this for a child? Or
Probably about 12 years of age would be fine. Down to, as far as the detox baths are concerned, I don't think there's any minimal age on a detox bath, but I would say probably about maybe 10, for a gallbladder flush. Depends on the size of the child.
How do you do a gallbladder flush?
Well, when you get to that point, we'll give you exact instructions, but it's basically, we've totally simplified it to where basically all it is taking magnesium in lemonade, drinking that down, and then 1 hour later, mix 6 ounces of light tasting olive oil with some fruit juice or something as a flavoring agent. Drink that and you're done. In the beginning, you want to kick back and maybe get in a recliner and watch a movie after you drink the oil. Around here, about every second week, we just do it on the fly because we've done so many of them. And just do it for good, clean fun.
How much is too much?
What's that?
How much is too much of the detox? Like, say for instance, magnesium that you're taking and you're flushing out, but like the Calm, it's called Calm, C-A-L-M, 100% magnesium.
Uh-huh.
So how much is too much if you do that every night? Is that okay?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, because if that's the thing, we're all extremely deficient of magnesium.
Yeah.
And so your colon will tell you if you've taken too much in one day.
Yeah.
But if you take, it would be better to relax yourself a little bit too much every night with the Calm rather than not quite enough, because if it doesn't create diarrhea, that is relaxing you is also overcoming your whole body
Anxiety.
deficiency.
Yeah.
Yeah, so no, it's good.
So that helps the gallbladder flush, just to do that, just to take the calm, the magnesium?
No, but well, Calm, to do the gallbladder flush, Calm would be a little bit too expensive. It would work because it is a magnesium citrate, but you don't want to waste it for doing gallbladder flush. You can get just straight magnesium citrate powder for less money, and because there's two things that you want to accomplish with the magnesium for a gallbladder flush. You want to create diarrhea, and you want to relax the bile ducts. And that way, when you drink the oil, you'll be guaranteed to get results. Now, there's oftentimes a person will do the gallbladder flush again and again and again and feel like, well, I'm doing the procedure, I'm not getting any results, but I'm doing it anyway, so I must be doing good. Well, the best that they may be accomplishing is moving bile. You want to be successful. You want to make sure that you're successful. And if you're not doing the roller on your upper back, you might not be successful. Now, one thing that might be a good idea to keep in mind is for your first gallbladder flush, after you do your first gallbladder flush, if by noon the next day you don't have trophies in the toilet, that night do it again. There's got to be something floating in the toilet, green waxy balls. The first time they might be brown, black, who knows what, gold, but they'll float. And if you don't have them by noon the next day, do it again that night. Because if you hit the gallbladder a couple times in the beginning, it could be impacted. Since it's full by the time we're 20 years of age, it could be, if you're 40 or 50 and you're doing your first gallbladder flush, it could definitely be impacted. So you want to hit it a couple times in a row to break them loose and get them clearing out. The only other reason why a gallbladder flush might not work, if you hit it twice like that and you've been doing the rolling, is if there's a lot of hate, anger, and resentment locked up in your liver. And a good sign to know that that might be happening is if you're a real nice person. It means you are an imploder, and you implode your anger into your liver and lock it down. Okay? Yes, Chuck?
If I understand it right, the belt on, its job is to push all the food that you put in your mouth, and is the belt on is to push it through your body.
The purpose of it is to move the residue, not your food. You want your food to move itself through, but See, in order for that to happen naturally, you need to reestablish the muscular sleeve of the intestinal tract. And that's the real important work of the bowel tone, is to reestablish the muscular contractions of the intestinal tract.
Yeah, but where I was going, I was thinking like if all we put in our body is number 5, number 7, number 8, meaning 2 small essential light drinks and 1 light dinner, isn't 3 bowel tones a day a little overdoing it?
No, it's actually just right, but 2 is all you really need. Disregard the 3rd one, unless you feel that that is something that you really want to do. Now keep in mind also, what is the objective that you would want to be working toward? There's 2 things that we want to be accomplishing here. We want to reverse a lifetime accumulation of garbage out of the body. And now that we think about how extensive that buildup can be, see, with children, if you keep the intestinal tract moving nicely, they don't block up the filters so soon. But as adults, by the time we get to be adults, our filtering system is blocked up. Once the filtering system blocks up, then the tissue stagnates and loads with garbage. So we all have a whole lifetime accumulation of chemicals, metals, and all this garbage we've been talking about. And so that's the accomplishment. The other accomplishment is to reverse a lifetime accumulation of damage. Because of course, if the body doesn't have enough energy to be able to heal the damages as we go, and as adults we don't give the body that much energy to be able to heal, because we're on a daily basis, we're converting everything we can get our hands on to put into accomplishment and what we want to do. And then without thinking about it, we're eating on the run. Where's the energy supposed to come from to digest the food? And if that isn't enough, when we damage ourselves, where we can't get up out of bed and we can't work, we'll stay down for the least amount of time possible until we can drag ourselves up and go again. Where's the energy going to come from to heal that damage? There isn't any. And so the body slaps a little scar tissue on it and thinks, okay, one day when this person slows down enough to where I have some energy to heal myself, I'll go ahead and catch up on that healing. And it never happens. And that is a major reason for aging right there, is accumulative damage where the body has never had the energy to be able to heal itself. All of these things that we're talking about aren't time. It isn't age. It's self-abuse and accumulative garbage and accumulative damage. That's it. You reverse all of that. You reverse the lifetime accumulation of garbage. You reverse the lifetime accumulation of damage. And guess what? Metabolically and at the cellular level, we're all 10-year-olds. Because nobody in this room has a cell in their body older than 10 years of age. And that is a rare bone cell at that. Basically, the majority, all the soft tissue of the body is replaced brand new every year. Okay? Where is aging? As Dr. Alexis Carroll found, the cells don't age. You know, we hear a lot about the telomeres getting shorter. They don't just shrink. We poison them into shrinking. Self-destruct is the only cause of aging and degenerative disease. When we can reprogram the computer and get it to stop believing in aging, disease, as though those things are inevitable, anybody that really catches on to what I'm saying and follows through with the coaching that we provide, if you die before you're 130 years of age, you're committing suicide. And if you don't die with a smile on your face, just letting go and going home, if you develop a disease, just know that you create it yourself. Approximately 75 trillion cells in your body knows that you are the God of their whole universe. And they hang on every word, every thought, and every feeling. You're literally the god of their world, god or the goddess of their entire universe. And they follow your lead, whatever you think. Epigenetics is a new science that supersedes the baloney that we've been lied to with about how our genetics determine whether we're going to get sick, how long we'll live, and all this other stuff. Epigenetics says, no, that's not true. Whatever distorted the gene, you just correct the lifestyle habit and it'll correct the gene. The genes follow our belief systems. Whatever we believe, our genes follow. Now that is the scariest thing I can tell you. What is a belief? What is a belief?
Story made from an emotion.
What's that?
A story made from an emotion?
That's one, yes. It's also an opinion or a perception about what is or what isn't. Now, no matter what we believe, we can't change what is or what isn't, right? What is or what isn't is the way that it is. Okay? But our perceptions is what determines what our cells do. It's our beliefs. That's why Bruce Lipton, his whole life work right now is helping people to understand that it's our beliefs that determine our program and what our cells do. And so guess what? Right now, we all believe in aging and disease. So guess what? What do we need to do? We need to reprogram the computer. And if we don't consciously reprogram the computer, the dirty pictures that we hold in our minds, and what are those dirty pictures? It's everybody that has gone on before us. They've gotten old and they've died, and most of them died of degenerative diseases. That establishes our expectation. Do you see the value of reprogramming? We've got to consciously reprogram the brain, otherwise it's going to follow suit. That is a major reason why I would like to start this 35 for Life, because I would like to help a group of individuals understand that it's completely under our control. And we don't have to develop disease, we don't have to age, we don't have to do what the rest of the world is busy doing. There's enough information available right now, and this is one reason why I was a little bit hesitant to get back into doing the classes, because I wanted to talk about a lot of these exciting things, but until these 15 steps, I'll take the one out, so nobody dies of an OD of alcohol. It's too clean or something. Until everybody is following these 15 steps, what good does it do to follow graduation steps if the basics aren't being followed? Because these steps, these are the things that your body can't do on its own. If you don't do this, it ain't going to get done. It ain't going to get done properly. These are the steps that the innate wisdom inside every one of us is screaming out for help. Help me in these ways, and I'll take care of everything else. Don't worry about all the symptoms and all the aches and pains and problems. If you'll do this, the body wisdom is saying, I'll take care of everything else. Can you believe that? Okay. Now, as you see there, we also have a checklist. "15 very, very simple steps." You'd think that you could really very easily remember all those, but why is it that it might be difficult to remember these simple little steps. There's one reason why it might be a little bit difficult to remember these 15 simple little steps. What is that?
Too easy.
It's too easy? Yes, but the bigger reason is the saboteur is within. And the saboteur runs our lives. This is a way of nailing the saboteur's feet to the floor. Okay? Now, what I would like to encourage you to do as you review this list, if those 15 simple steps seem a little bit too difficult, determine what you would be willing to commit to yourself to do. And start there. Develop a habit. Remember, the reason why we develop disease is because of our self-destructive lifestyle habits. Okay? The only way we're going to turn that around, because at the end of the day, it's all of our lifestyle habits crystallized in the body that determines who we are and the quality of our health. Therefore, if we can shift a certain number of self-destructive lifestyle habits and shift them into self-supportive lifestyle habits, we're starting to come out of this mire that we've created. Then every month, after you lay the foundation of what you're willing to commit to yourself for, every month you add one more step. And if it takes you another 3 months to get up to speed with all 15 steps, big deal. But you make them habits, just like brushing your teeth, combing your hair, doing whatever else. Showering, whatever you do as a habit. You add these as habits, lifestyle habits. And guess what? These 15 simple little steps are like an exact roadmap. You can't get lost. You cannot develop degenerative disease if you follow these 15 simple steps. How could you? If you've got all the doors and windows open and you're getting the sewage system, which was 90% of the reason why we developed disease, if you've got the sewage system flowing, balanced, and functioning properly, how in the heck can you develop disease? You can't. It's like an exact road map. You follow it, you're going to end up where the map says you're going to be. Now again, we're not trying to get to the point where we overcome all disease and everything. We're creators. And so we're creating a level of health where disease can't even exist. That's the accomplishment. Being sons and daughters of God, we are creators and we can't shut that off. No matter where we direct the focus of our attention, we're creating. And so what we need to do is stop focusing on what we're afraid we might end up experiencing, because that's what guarantees that we're going to create that. We start focusing on where we want to go, creating a level of health where disease can't exist. If we stay focused on that, where else can we end up? Nowhere. There's healthy little 35-year-olds running around doing what we want to do. Right?
Does it take the parasites out of your system too, this flush?
How can a parasite stand living in a high energy vital body? Parasites are low energy creatures that thrive on rotting food waste. If you take the food chain away from them and you put your vitality up here, a parasite can't live in your body. The greatest weapon you can use against all parasitic life forms is high energy. What is another term for high energy? Joy. You bring more joy back into your body and they can't survive. Okay?
No fungus either.
Fungus is a parasite too.
Yeah.
Cancer cells are parasites.
Is that the same as viruses?
Viruses are parasites. You get your vitality high, your oxygen level up. See, basically what you want to do is build a really hot fire in the body. Okay? Now, to build a fire, we know that we need fuel. I think everybody has enough fuel, right? You need oxygen. Nobody has quite enough oxygen. And heat. Nobody has anywhere near enough heat. So how do you generate more oxygen and heat? Well, what is another term for heat? Joy. Energy. Life energy. You do all the steps to support your body in its ability to produce energy at the cellular level, stop burning adrenaline, pace ourselves. A good way of thinking about energy is to consider it the same as you would money and realize that the average adult is energetically bankrupt. And so we've got to start out by creating a savings plan. And then think of what is it that I'm doing that is wasting my energy? What's taking my energy? Digesting food. Not chewing food well enough actually robs your energy. Retaining toxic waste in the body is destroying energy. So you get these pathways open. You do your detox baths. You do your exercise. You do all of these things, and your energy starts going up.
What about sugar?
What about sugar?
Is it
Your energy just came down. What? Just talking about it.
Sugar is a no-no, period.
Right? Unless you're growing parasites and more fungus. Then you
Is
need
that
more
also
sugar.
true of Manuka honey?
Manuka honey. Well, keep in mind that raw honey, all the raw honey, is it's at the opposite end of the glycemic scale, the glycemic index. Pasteurized honey is right up there by white sugar, but raw honey is actually like a medicine. It's at the opposite end of the glycemic index scale. In fact, you put raw honey together with cinnamon, you have a very powerful medicine for pancreas and all kinds of good things. Yes, your fungus loves sugar. So you need, your cells, we've been lied to for 100 years or so and told that we're glucose burners and that the brain is a glucose hog, that we have to have lots of glucose for the brain. Well, that's the reason why we have all these problems with the candida, cancer, hypoglycemia, diabetes. All these problems are sugar problems because we're not glucose burners. But you think about, well, how do we fuel the body? Well, the two main fuels is either carbohydrate or fat. Well, fat is a higher quality fuel. And then we don't develop all these sugar problems. And so what we need to do is just turn that scale that we've been taught all of our lives to the exact opposite. Drop the carbohydrates way down here. Another thing is they didn't tell us that when we eat too much protein, that the liver converts the excess into glucose. So we got to bring the protein down. We can't just go crazy with protein now. Drop the protein down and then pull the fats up, but realize that with fats, the body is more easily satisfied. So now we can drop the whole volume of intake of food. Now we don't need so many groceries to satisfy the body. Okay? So anyway, what I want to try and accomplish today is helping everybody to understand that if you lay the foundation really strong, and that's what you have in your hand, then as we add to that, there's little tips for anti-aging that are far superior to running out and spending all kinds of money to get stem cells put into your body. There's a lot of things that you can do in preparation. If you wanted to do something like that, let's prepare the body so that it doesn't poison the little guys to death when you spend your money for something like stem cells to heal an area that is having a difficult time healing, maybe a shoulder or something that may need some treatment like that. Why don't you get the sewage cleared out of your body, get the vitality up, so that when you get those cells in there, your body doesn't poison them to death. Okay? So no matter what, and this plan should also be the entire foundation for every form of treatment, no matter what a person is doing. If you have no matter what kind of degenerative disease a person would have, this is the foundation. If you don't get the sewage system going and support the innate wisdom of the body to normalize these functions, the treatment is going to be less than effective. So this should be the foundation for every health program, the foundation for every treatment, and then you go from there with whatever, any form of treatment on top of this foundation is that much more effective. Okay?
What kind of a trampoline are you talking about?
The one that I found that works best is the Jump Sport. It's the best trampoline that I found for the money.
Jump sport?
Jump Sport. And you can Google that and the company will send one right to your doorstep. It's a bungee cord.
They're referred to as rebounders as well, aren't they?
Yes.
It's called the Fitness 250.
You know,
And
there's,
it's $250.
I found one at Sporting Goods or Big Five or something.
Mhm.
I think I paid like $80 for it, and it's got the springs like you're saying. I love it. It's really strong.
Well, these are bungee cord trampolines.
you'll find that if you jumped on yours and you jumped on this one, you'd throw rocks at yours.
Yeah, I've worn out 2 of those, and I'd go for the one that he recommends.
In time, it will mess your knees up because it's too strong. The springs are too small. That's why that's one piece of equipment you don't want to short yourself on. You want to get a good one, and I've looked at all of them. You know, there's a lot of really good $450 ones. Those are even a little bit strong. If you're 20 years of age, that might be okay, but for anybody over 40 years of age, you want to protect your knees while you're jumping, and you need something really soft and comfortable. And these with the bungee cords are really soft, they're easy to jump on, but they accomplish everything that you need. Yeah, John?
How much do you put into it when you're on the trampoline? Do I just bounce and where my feet stay on, or do I do nothing, or do you
Listen to
feet
your
actually
body.
come off the button, off the
Listen to
trampoline?
your body, because some people say all they can handle is this. My feet come up about that far off the trampoline.
So
You gotta listen to your-
I want to do what's best for my body. I don't
You
know.
gotta
I can
listen.
do it either way.
You gotta listen to your body.
I can make a recommendation about that, because I just got one recently and I started jumping right off the bat for half an hour and my core was way messed up. I later looked at the directions and they suggested that
What was messed up?
my core and my ribs was to bounce before you jump, get used to it, and because if you don't, if your middle cage is not really strong,